it that does not like David? Saul, yes. Who is Saul? Yes, he's the king of Israel. Why does he hate David so badly? Now, I keep hearing this word, jealous. No. No. It's more than jealous. Jealousy and envy are two different sins, guys. Okay, they are not harmonious sins. I can be jealous of you and not envious of you. Envy is even worse than jealousy. Okay, jealous is when you have something and I wish I had it. Okay, envy is when you have something and I wish I had it and I would do everything I can do to take it away from you. Okay, Saul knows that David probably is next in line for what? For the kingdom. Okay, he hasn't been told that. He doesn't know about the ceremony where David was anointed, but he knows that he's been rejected and that another better than he has been selected by God to fulfill that position. And he doesn't want that. Who does he want to have the kingdom? Jonathan, his son. He wants to keep this kingdom in his family lineage, but that's not going to happen. He despises David, and he's doing everything he can do to get rid of him. And what's his primary way of getting rid of him? To kill him. Has he attempted it several times? Oh yes, several times. Twice he's cast a javelin at him. He has put him out into battle hoping that the Philistines will kill him. He has asked him to collect a dowry of 100 foreskins of the Philistines, hoping that he would get killed during that. He's just worked up all kinds of scenarios to kill this man. And yet David continues to what? He continues to live. Folks, when God's on your side, doesn't matter who your enemy is. Okay? And it really doesn't matter what plans your enemies have against you. If God wants His will to be carried out, it will be carried out, won't it? And so David, is he remaining faithful to his God? Oh yes, he's remaining faithful and steadfast. He was given a promise that he would get to marry someone. Who was that? Saul's daughter. And he got the old one or the young one? The young one. Now notice the Bible doesn't say the prettier or the uglier. Okay, we don't know that, do we? But he got who as his wife? Michal. Okay, and she what's David? Yeah, she loves David. Okay, now we've got two family members of Saul on David's side. Who are they? Jonathan and Michal. Okay, so David goes home with Michal, right? After they're married, and Saul's now content, everything's fine, and he's just going to let David be. No, that isn't going to happen, okay? I've entitled this particular chapter, or this particular section, 1 Samuel 19:11 through 24, as Michal saves David from Saul. We've divided it into 6 sections. Anybody want to give us an outline real quickly? Anybody? All right, there's Marilyn. She said she would do it. Michal's what? Flees? Pleads? Michal pleads for David? Okay. Okay, David escapes. Good. Okay, Saul is angry with Michal. Good. Okay, David went to Samuel at Ramah. Okay, Saul's messengers were prophesying. Good. Yes, the Spirit of God came upon him. Who's the him? Saul, is it not? Mine very briefly, messenger sent to David's house. Number 2, Michal enables David to escape. Number 3, the monarch discovers David's departure. Number 4, mischief reported to Samuel. Number 5, messengers prophesy in Naioth. And then lastly, majesty prophesies in Naioth. Okay, so there's my 6 points. Just keep doing it, folks. It helps to impress these things in our mind as to what's going on in the text. Who did Saul send to David's house? Messengers. Okay, messengers. And most likely these messengers were who? Soldiers, most likely. Okay, probably some military capacity. Okay, we're not told that, but most likely that's who they were. What was their purpose? Yeah, the Bible says to watch him and to slay him. Wow. They were to watch him. What was he not supposed to be able to do? Escape. You watch him. Okay? Folks, the one thing Saul didn't want is for him to get away. And then the next morning, when he comes out of his house, guess what you can do? Just kill him. Man, guys, it just goes to show us how far Saul has gotten as far as his evil heart is concerned, isn't it? Here's a man who has absolutely no hesitation killing an innocent man. Okay? An innocent man. It's unbelievable. David has never done anything to harm Saul. Nothing. And yet he despises him, doesn't he? Can you imagine you go home to your wife, and the first thing the king does is surround your house with messengers to watch your house and spy it out to slay you? It's crazy. Who warned David to flee that very night? Michal. And Michal, David's wife, told him, saying, if thou save not thy life tonight, tomorrow thou shalt be slain. Now, this is interesting to me because Michal has knowledge that David doesn't. My question is, how'd she get it? Jonathan, we don't even know if Jonathan even knows about this, do we? Okay. One of two ways. Her dad told her, right? You make certain that David stays in that house. Okay. Folks, was Saul's hatred for David pretty well known by now? Oh yeah. It's been pretty well known by now. And so it could have been Saul. It could have been that one of the messengers, when he came, he somehow makes the report. You stay safe. You stay away. You stay in your room. Don't you leave the house because we've got this house surrounded because tomorrow David dies. King's orders. Okay? But somehow she knew about this particular attack. How did Michal help David escape? Ah, yes. Michal let David down through a window, and he went and fled and escaped. Does that kind of interest you? What were the messengers supposed to be doing? Watching, right? Watch him, and in the morning slay him. And all of a sudden, David jumps out a window, and he's gone and gets out of there. I got a question. Does anybody have a question? Where were the messengers? Okay, we got them watching the front door only. Big dummies, right? Like windows aren't used for escape, right? Okay. Now we've got a man saying possibly we had some messenger allow him to escape. What happened when it came to the resurrection of Jesus? What did those soldiers do? They fell asleep, didn't they? Fell asleep. You see, sometimes messengers fall asleep at their posts, don't they? And they're not paying attention like they're supposed to. Maybe they fell asleep. I don't know what happened. All I know is somehow David made his escape with Michal's help, didn't it? Pretty interesting. Folks, it's right now when David flees from the house and makes his escape that many individuals believe that Psalm 59 was written. Okay? Let me read you the title to the psalm. To the chief musician, Michal of David, when Saul sent and they watched the house to kill him. Okay? So if you want some additional information about David's feelings, about how David responded to this situation, just do some study on Psalm 59, okay? Now, that particular title is not inspired, okay? That title is put there by whom? By man, okay? By man. Yeah, if it's not God, it is by man. Which men? Jewish scholars. Okay, Jewish scholars, they've gone, they've done the research, they've done the investigation into the historical nature and background of these Psalms. They believed that they were so right about their titles that when they put the titles in the Hebrew Bible, it was the first verse, not a separated title. Okay, that's how much they trusted in the background study that they had done, and that these Psalms that they did put a title to were accurate, okay? So very well may be that this Psalm was written at that particular point. So we could spend another Bible class hour talking about Psalm 59, couldn't we? We won't do that today, though. What did Michal lay in David's bed? An image. And Michal took an image and laid it in the bed. That little image in Hebrew is called teraphim. A teraphim. Folks, it's not a mannequin. That's supposed to be funny. Okay, it's not a mannequin. Okay, what is it? No, it's an image. A pillow's not an image. What's this image? It is an idol, folks. It is a god. Okay? Almost every house, or many houses, even in Israel, they would put images. Okay? And some of them were quite tall. They referred to them as their family images. Were they supposed to have them? No. Does anybody remember anybody else, another wife that struggled with images? Ah, yes, Jacob's who? Yeah, remember when finally Jacob and Rachel and all his clan left Laban's house, and she took some of those images, hid them with her stuff, and when he comes back, that's the accusation that he makes, right? You've taken my images. They didn't find them, but she had taken them, hadn't they? And so what's Michal struggling with, folks? Idolatry, right? Idolatry. Okay, this image is in her house. She takes the image, she lays it in the bed. And it's interesting that she's, got this idol that's there. And I just put this note down. Apparently Saul had not done a very good job rearing his children to submit to the true God. Right? David's house, but hadn't been long that they'd been married, and she brings this idol with her where? Probably from her upbringing, okay? Very, very well could have. So very interesting. That's another question for your question book. Okay, when you get to God, and you want to talk to him about Michal's image, tell me more about this thing. What did Michal use as a hairpiece upon this idol? Goat's hair, yes. And it says, and put a pillow of goat's hair for his bolster. There you go. We don't use that word anymore, do you? How's your bolster? Didn't even know I had one. Okay, what is a bolster? A headpiece. Brown Driver and Briggs says a place at the head, a head place. Okay, so she puts the idol under there, right? Covers the idol up and puts a little what? Goat's hair sticking out. So you think what? That's David down there. He's just down there sleeping, right? Now that still intrigues me, right? What are they going to do? Peek in the window? And see him? The very window that he just jumped out? It's just interesting, isn't it? Okay? When you start thinking about it. She covered the image with a cloth, true or false? True. It's hard to mistake an image in David, right? So you got to cover him up. Okay? He'd be a little bit harder than David would be. And when the messengers came to take David, what did Michal tell them? He's sick. Now, folks, if you had a bolster of goat's hair, you'd look sick too. Okay? But he was sick. Wow. And when this was reported to Saul, how did he respond? Well, take him some medicine and get well. Let's pray for the boy. Where are the elders? We'll go get him anointed. No. Listen to what he said. And Saul sent the messengers again to see David, saying, bring him up to me in the bed. Now watch this. That I may slay him. Oh, man. No longer the messengers. Good. He can't get a sling after me now. He's sick in bed. I'll just kill him when he's sick. He really wanted to do the dastardly deed, didn't he? Seems like he did anyway. Although it didn't really matter, but it would have prided him to be able to kill David. Pretty interesting. Seems that Saul believed David to be vulnerable, and in his heart, he really wanted to be the executioner. What did the messengers find in the bed? An image and a hairpiece of goat's hair, right? And when the messengers were come in, behold, there was an image in bed and a pillow of goat's hair for his bolster. I want y'all to use that word today 3 times in a sentence, okay? Bolster, okay? You think they were stunned? Do you think they were concerned? Why do you think they might be concerned? Yeah, he's not even there, Saul, right? What do you mean he's not there? He's not there. He's not sick, and he's not there. Well, what was in bed? It's just an image with some goat's hair sticking out of it. Well, where did he go? I thought y'all were supposed to watch the house, folks. Could that be devastating to a messenger or a soldier? Oh, yeah. That could be life or death, could it not? Very uncomfortable. But I find it interesting that Saul doesn't blame the messengers. Saul immediately turns upon who? Michal. And Saul said unto Michal, why hast thou blanked me so, deceived me so, and sent away mine enemy? See how he views David? He chose this in the past, did he not? From this point on, he is my what? My enemy. I just find that interesting. Can we choose to make people our enemies? Can we just make a conscious decision? He's my enemy. Yeah. And can you make that kind of a decision based upon terrible circumstances and terrible reasoning? Yeah. Saul's done that very thing, has he not? I hate the man. Despise the man. He's my enemy. And the man's done nothing to him. Nothing to him. I just find it very interesting that he's made that choice. That he is blank. Escaped. Okay? Yes, ma'am. Maybe, maybe not. Where was the deception? Where was the deception? The deception was in the image, right? Thou hast deceived me, okay? You've made me think he's here when you've really let him escape, okay? I still don't really know whether he told her or didn't. All I know is she knew. I would suspect he told her. That's just me personally, okay? But I don't know that, though. Is she in a predicament? Oh, yeah. She loves David, doesn't she? And yet, Saul is her father and king. She's in a similar predicament that who was in? that Jonathan's in, right? You know, what do you do when you're trying to serve two individuals and you care about two individuals and yet those two individuals are at war with one another, you know? It's just not a good circumstance. Why did Michal say she had helped David? I just hear a lot of mumbling. Everybody's, you know, it'd help if you just read the verse to me, right? And Michal answered Saul. He said unto me, let me go. Why should I kill thee? Folks, there's the real reason, isn't it? I let him go and helped him escape under threat of what? Threat of death. Liar, liar, pants on fire. Isn't that right? She's trying to save her own what? She's trying to save her own skin, right? Man, did Saul seem like he accepted that reasoning? Didn't do anything to her, did he? Seemed like he kind of accepted that reasoning. So maybe she knew that if I, make it drastic enough that I was under threat of death, it was all I could do. It's the only way I can save myself. Okay, and so that's a pretty common thing, isn't it? To lie when you're yeah, to blame somebody else, to lie when you're really being confronted about something. To whom did David flee? Samuel. So David fled and escaped and came to Samuel. I was reading some commentaries on this, and one man made this statement. When David fled to Samuel, he was running to God. You ever thought about that? See, we just think he went to the prophet, right? He just went to Samuel. Folks, David was fleeing to God, right? Samuel had been judge, hadn't he? He was a prophet of the Almighty God. He grew up in the temple, did he not? As a priest, prophet, priest, and judge. And now David runs to who? David runs to the second highest man in the kingdom. In fact, he almost occupies an equal authority with Saul. Saul has the secular military responsibilities, and guess who has the spiritual responsibilities? Samuel does. Okay, and so he flees to God. A pretty good lesson if you think about it, right? Where are we supposed to go when we're tormented? Better run to God. Yes, ma'am? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. To what city did he go? To Ramah. That was the hometown of Samuel, wasn't it? After David told about what had happened to him, where did they then go? Yeah, Naioth. Okay, they then left and went to Naioth. There may have been several reasons for that. What do you think the main one was? What's that? Okay, that's what that little word Naioth means, is a dwelling place. It was there that Samuel had established at least one of the schools of the prophets. Okay, so there were many dwellings that were there. If Saul knew that David had fled to Samuel, he would know that he went to his what? To his house in Ramah. So it's no longer safe to be in Ramah. We need to go where? We need to go at least to Naioth. So they did. And that's where they went, to where the school of the prophets were. Perhaps a lot of dwelling places for the prophets that were being trained in that prophetic office, and a lot of good hiding places in order to, try to spare David. True or false? Saul learned that he was in Naioth. True. Absolutely. And Saul sent messengers to take David, did he not? Okay, notice that Saul's persistence, what? It just continues, doesn't it? Guys, this guy is on a pursuit, and it doesn't matter. Let me ask you this. As you read about all these things that Saul is doing to David, do you get tired of it? Kind of. You know, it's trying to stab him with a javelin, right? Put him out in the field of battle, make him die. Get my daughters involved in his death. Get the Philistines involved in his death. Order his death. Right? And now he's fleeing again over here to Naioth. And let's get him over there. This guy is what? He is obsessed. He's consumed with David. And this is, you know, when we read, we can read this story in about, 10 minutes. Okay? 4 or 5 chapters. Okay? We sit down and we can read this story in about 10 minutes. Guys, this is taking months and years, and we have not even begun the flight of David yet. Do you know it? This is going to be for years. He is consumed with this man. And what did the messengers see when they arrived? Saul sent them to Naioth. What did they see? Yes, they saw the company of the prophets prophesying, and Samuel what? Standing as appointed over them. True or false? The messengers that Saul sent to take David prophesied. Yes. Guys, who's protecting David? God. Here you come with an evil intention, right? We're coming to arrest David. We're going to take him back to Saul. We're going to kill this man. And the next thing you know, you're prophesying by the Spirit of God. You didn't anticipate it. You didn't ask for it. You didn't desire it. All you know is you're speaking through somebody else speaking through you. I don't know how that was. I don't know what they said. We're not told any of that. All they knew is they were what? They're prophesying. And the Spirit of God was upon the messengers of Saul, and they also prophesied. How many times did that happen? 3 times. 3 groups of messengers. All of them prophesied. Now just think about that. Who's at Naioth? Samuel and David. Messengers come, messengers go. Messengers come, messengers go. Messengers come, messengers what? Go. David's feeling pretty good. Isn't he? You see, God's involved in this, folks. Where did he run, folks? He ran to God. And God's doing what? God's protecting a man of God. Saul then sent Jonathan to get David. False. Then went he also to, what does the text say? To Ramah. That intrigues me. Okay? Did he know that David was in Naioth? Yeah, he knew that. He'd been told that. In fact, he had sent 3 groups of messengers where? To Naioth. And yet when he gets ready to go, he goes where? To Ramah. I got to see Saul one day. What you thinking, man? What did he come to when he got to Ramah? Yes, a great well. And he asked the question, where are Samuel and David? Was he told? Yes. And one said, behold, they be at Naioth in Ramah. What came upon Saul as he approached the city? The Spirit of God jumped on him too, did it not? The Spirit of God was upon him, and he went on and prophesied until he came to Naioth in Ramah. And did he do something else in addition to prophesy? What did he do? Yes, he stripped himself of his clothes and lay naked all day and all night. Now that's a king for you. Okay? Now guys, when you go and do a little bit of study about his being naked on this occasion, he would have removed his armor, he would have removed his royal garments, he would have removed his tunic, and he would have been there in undergarments. Okay? Nakedness doesn't mean necessarily all the way fully unclothed, okay? He could have still had on some undergarments. He lay there how long? Day and night. And what was said again of Saul? Is Saul also among the prophets? Had this already been said once? Yes. Now it's been said a second time, hasn't it? This is the second time Saul is prophesied by the Spirit of God, isn't it? Okay? Very, very interesting story, guys. It's about to get gooder. I promise you.